Hotep, Uncle Josh Seneb, and welcome to another live broadcast of Adults Only. I am your big brother, and you see to my right, that's Brother Chaz. He's here today, and we got a lot of information to talk about. In fact, if you look at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see the title. Some of our youth and our young adults, they disrespect our elders. And so we've been wanting to bring this for the longest, and now we have an opportunity to bring it. So right off the bat, I want to say, how you doing, Chaz?
I'm doing all right yourself, and I appreciate you for having me back on again.
All right, all right. Well, Chaz is our he's our field man, and he's also our correspondent. So a lot of times he goes out in the field and talks. There's one person already that's starting to give us some praise. She says, "Hotep family, this is Mudiwa." In fact, all my comments are working now, so we don't have to use the phone. So we're caught up to date now. So we say to her, Hotep as well. So, Brother Chaz, first of all, I want to know, why did you want to choose this subject? Because, you kept telling me that this is a subject that we both needed to address.
It's everywhere. First of all, when I was in middle school, there was a TV show by a famous actress. His name is Wilmer. And the name of the TV show is called Yo Mama. Now, the show is discontinued, but the point is these jokesters will sit in the street with a lot of crowd behind them, talking back and forth about people's mothers. Now, we all know that this is something that's disrespectful. It's evil. You shouldn't be talking, especially if that person's loved one is dead. And on the show, they didn't care if the mama was dead. They would still roast her anyway. Talk about how broke she was. Talked about how cruddy of how her car was crappy. Talked about how her house was crap. All kind of stuff. And the thing is, you should not be disrespecting people's mother like this. And if you can, big brother, go ahead and play that clip for us.
I'm going to play it right now, but I want to say Hotep to BB, who just tuned in and was letting us know that she's watching the broadcast. But stand by, and this is where it all starts. Chaz is telling us it starts right here with this video that we're about to see. So stand by, and we'll get the video playing right now.
Your mom is so broke. I saw her walking down the street. I said, "Lady, did you lose a shoe?" She goes, "I just found one." You can take off your red shirt and put on a black one, but I still know Fat Albert when I see him. Yeah, your mom's so stupid. Bitch sense. Brought it back. Your mom is so broke, she can't afford to freestyle. Your mom is so broke. For Christmas, she brought home a tape of other people opening up presents.
Stop this madness! And for tonight's battle, the winner will be Paul.
Well, you see, Chaz, this is where it all starts, because we think that's funny, we think it's cute, but it's really disrespectful.
Yeah.
And we have stooped to a low level, and we've all done it before, so we're not saying we're saints.
Right.
But this is where it starts, where we begin the process of talking about someone's parents or someone's grandparents, and it's truly disrespectful. And I think we need to bring attention to it. Now, one of the facts we're going to start off talking about is this fact here. We all need to bring attention to the lack of impoliteness that some of our youth and our young adults display towards the elderly. Why are we not talking about that? Because some of the youth and young adults are doing a great job. We're not talking to you. But to those who disrespect these seniors, why don't we like to talk about this, though?
I think some of us feel like this isn't really as important. They treat it as, a casual day. And it's gotten even to the point to society where the adult or teenager cusses in front of the father or mother. They're cussing. They're cussing as if they're talking to one of their little homeboys or homegirls that they go to school with. And it's like, if they're every now and then, a cuss word may slip. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about mothers cussing at the daughters, daughters giving it right back, the son's giving it back to the father, or vice versa. But the point is, They don't even have enough. You shouldn't be cussing, but just say, you know what? I'm not gonna cuss around my parents because I have respect. No, they letting it all out, big brother, and they don't care about it.
Yeah, and then that's terrible what you said, but it's true. See, we have to be able to address this because we hide behind our cell phones and we like to look at all this silly stuff when we have a whole lot of disrespect going on. And to those who have comments, we're asking you to comment so we can share. Why do you think this is going on? And we know there's a lot of reasons, but here's another fact, Chaz. Many of our young adults and our youth, they just don't listen to elders anymore. You know, they don't listen to the older people, you know, and I can't keep going back in the day because this is a new time. But the point still remains, when someone tells you to do something and they're twice or three times your age, you shouldn't be giving them lip. You should be listening to them, even myself and others. And we don't listen. And that's one of the biggest issues because now we don't feel like we have to listen to anyone anymore.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
When do you think the shift started? Because as I grew up, it felt like discipline and structure was more important.
Mm-hmm.
Now it seems like that went out the window. So, because back in the day, I promise you, and everybody that's listening to this broadcast knows this, your mother asked you to get up, go do something, 90% of the time you did it. If you gave them or your father any kind of back smoke, boy, that child will be laying right there on that ground crying because they'll be on their back because they got busted in the mouth. That was discipline. Now it's like it goes the other way. So what year do you think the shift started?
I think that we can put our finger on when our young children start having babies. When our young men and young girls, the early teens or middle teens, started having babies because they're still babies themselves. And so they didn't have the respect. Many of them didn't. They never were raised on respect. So the children basically grew up doing what they wanted to do. And it's a problem, and it's still going on now because respect, as you mentioned earlier, was something that our ancestors thrived on. They wanted their respect. They needed their respect. But today, a lot of us, we're so messed up psychologically that we don't think that's important, that we give our elders and our seniors respect. And this shows how debauched our communities have stooped to. So yeah, in answer to your question, I would say that it happened when a lot of us younger people start having babies at a young age, and we didn't instill in them what our parents and grandparents instilled in us, which was that's one thing that you had to do. You had to respect your elders.
I think too, big brother, if I could just add to that a little bit, I think it kind of escalated when technology took off. I want to say in the year around 20, maybe 14 or 15, when technology really took off, because not only with the Yo Mama show, they start creating challenges to where they'll make an 8-year-old go do something to disrespect the mom. And they got all this recorded. They got this, and they're putting it on their TikTok, their Instagram, their Facebook, their YouTube. So I would say around 2014 is when it escalated, because now they're even putting you on the internet because they think it's so funny.
Well, I want you to comment on this next point, which is a fact. And I want to chime in, but I want to give you the dibs on it to go first, because this is something that we must talk about it. And here it is. Fact 3, some of our youth and young adults, they ought to be ashamed of themselves the way they treat our elders. But my question to you is, why are we not ashamed? Why do we feel like this is just normal, the way we speak to our elders now?
I would say some of it has to do with society, some of it has to do with programming, and most of it has to do, and I can't blame it all, but it does have a big chunk of it. It goes to what we see on the entertainment. The entertainment that we digest day in, day out tells us that this is fine, this is okay to disrespect our elders. Now, I don't suggest doing this, treating our elders, because one day, young folks, we're going to get old. We're not going to like that when we try to go into Walmart or CVS and you got a young 13-year-old cussing us out, laughing and just disrespecting us. So it's just, big brother, it's a sad state that we're in mentally. And then on top of that, like I said, a lot of our youth, they don't care.
One of the queens says social media definitely plays a part in it. Yeah. And then she also says this: back in the day, our parents and grandparents, they didn't play that. I think now it's no respect, she says, because parents are being their kids' friends instead of their parents. That is a great point. Parents are trying to be their children's friends instead of their parents. And I guess I think we live in a world that's topsy-turvy. The world is upside down. And this is why we have to have these discussions. But she hit the nail right on the head when she said that. So go ahead.
No, I was going to say she's spot on, because I literally just said that a few minutes ago on social media, how it feels like everything now is just disrespect. But yeah, she's definitely spot on with that comment. We appreciate it.
What even happened to saying good morning, sir, or good morning, ma'am? How are you doing? You know, to our seniors, and don't let them be driving and you pull up on the side of them, or one of us pull up on the side of them, and they do something because their age, or they maybe get in the wrong lane, and we drive on the side of them, and we look and we see that they're elderly. And instead of us saying, I'm not going to disrespect them, we shoot the finger up. We say some things that are so terrible, and then we drive along not knowing that we wouldn't want no one to do our parents like that.
I'm 50-50 with that, big brother. Now, here's what I do. Every now and then when I'm driving and something stupid like that happens, I get angry. But when I look to my right and I see this is an older guy or older woman, I say, you know what, forgive me. I feel bad now, because I'm going under the impression that this is a young guy or a young woman just acting stupid. But when I look in that window and I see their glasses are on their nose, they're barely moving, I really say, I'm sorry. To myself, I don't mean that. But like you said, there are some that give the finger, roll down the window, screaming at them, and it's just terrible. You shouldn't be treating these people like that, because one day we're going to get old, and we wouldn't want that treatment either.
And plus, it's the right thing to do, to respect your elders. Many cultures have that ingrained, but our culture, we say it, but we don't do it. Here's another one that we want to talk about. Many of our youth and young adults, they believe that they're grown. Therefore, this gives them the right to do whatever they want to do. When they get out of the house, they feel like they're grown, they're young adults. And so because they feel that they're grown, they feel as though they should have the same amount of clout as our seniors and our elders have, and they don't. And no one is telling them this. And this is why this is not one of those shows that people like to flock to, because when we deal with these types of issues, we want to be measly mouse and measly mice, I should say. And we don't want to address this, but this is a huge problem in many of our communities, how many of our young adults and our youth, they think they're grown, man.
Yes.
They think they're grown.
And let me ask you this too. What's wrong with, like you mentioned a few minutes ago, putting your hand up saying, how you doing, Mr. James? How you doing, Sister Willis, or what have you, or Sister Green? Just to give our older people, because let's face it, they're lonely, they're tired, they probably don't have that many friends coming to see them. What's wrong with just, conversating with them for a few seconds? I've noticed this myself. When I'm working out, I'm constantly seeing a lot of elders, and I'm talking to them, and they light up like a Christmas tree, because they want someone to mingle with for a few minutes. That's all.
Yeah, that's really sad. It makes me want to weep now. But it's just a matter of where our culture has slipped into such a so low level that this is what's happening here. Many young people, they haven't listened to their parents as to how to relate to our seniors. So what am I saying here? I'm saying that a lot of us have been taught. We know that we shouldn't be doing this. Mm-hmm. Many of our parents and grandparents, they have done their jobs.
Right.
They have taught us this.
Right.
But when the opportunity comes, we're not listening to them. And so therefore, we'll give an adult or a senior the finger. We'll shrub our nose up at them. We do all types of things. And this is why it's difficult for us to try to get this under wraps, because a lot of people hide behind their cell phones, and they're being disrespected right now. Their grandchildren disrespect them, but they won't talk about it. Their children disrespect them, but they won't talk about it, because we haven't listened. I know that our parents and grandparents taught us right from wrong when it comes to the adult elders. But a lot of us, we're pig-headed, we're stubborn, and we just don't want to listen to our parents. But my mother used to always say this: a hard head makes a soft you-know-what. sometimes that happens, brother.
Well, and let me ask you this, and I'm not putting parents down, but big brother, you've seen this as well. There are literally people who will call you or who would stop and say, I have a 5-year-old, I have an 8-year-old son or daughter. I can't get them to cooperate. So, doggone it, let me get this straight. You are 35 or 40 or 26-year-old man or woman.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get your son or daughter to listen to you. You can't think of any kind of measures to say, you know what, Fred, if you disrespect me again, I'm going to strip your phone. Parents need help, discipline a kid. Big brother, what is wrong with us?
We're gone. We're gone. I'm sounding the alarm. You're sounding the alarm. Other people are sounding the alarm. But it's we live in a society now where this television and this cell phone is their gods. And these things have stripped us of the respect. Even when you look on some of these social media outlets and you see how older people are being attacked, man, they're being jumped on. And so it's like, but we don't want to talk about this. And I'm saying that you're spot on when you say what is wrong with us. That's a rhetorical question. But we know that a lot of us are just, we're so screwed up inside that we have lost respect for the very people that brought us into this world. And here's something else we want to look at. A whole lot of our young people and our young adults, they have not been taught that the elders should be taken care of and not discarded. See, they're not looking at the sacredness, the sanctity of becoming old. We talked on the broadcast before and said that when you get old, that's supposed to be a blessing and all of that. But nowadays, it's not, because comedians are teasing our elders about their age and we're laughing at it. You know, so we kind of throw them to the side. And this is why we are not respecting our elders. This show should have 1 million people watching it, because we all should be chiming in how we have not done a great job as a society. And I'm not talking about the youth that are doing a good job. Those we applaud. I'm talking about the majority of these young people and these young adults who just don't see the value of an elder. I'm going to ask you this question.
Okay.
Why do you think the value of an elder? We talk that Afrocentricity, we talk all that black talk, and we talk all that unity, but why do you think the value have diminished when it comes to our elderly?
You just hit it on the head a few seconds ago. Social media and the entertainment, and then on top of it, by the programming that has been done to us for many, many years, have told us it's okay to disrespect. And it started, like I said, from my understanding, it all started when you have these comedians like that Wilmer guy created a show called Yo Mama to degrade our loved ones. To me, that's when it all started, when you're making a joke out of something, because that clearly tells you that you don't respect it.
Here's a comment by a queen that says this. Boy, I'm telling you now, I don't know how to access. I can see the comments now. This is beautiful. I'm just like a little kid in the candy store. But here we go.
Okay.
This queen says the millennial generation needs to know and feel what a belt is, what a skillet is.
Ooh.
And some tied up switches will do that. If there was enough of these doses being administered, it would make a difference.
Yeah.
And then she follows it up and says, real talk. She says, they have no regard for their elders. And she says, I forgot the extension cords. Now, I got to get in on this, brother.
Go ahead.
She is so right. You would find your teeth you would have to pick your teeth off the ground if you were around the adults back in the day and you came in with that attitude or that nonsense. Someone also said, and the house shoes too, because we would get whacked. Now, it wasn't abuse, it was love. And I think that many of us are afraid to put something on that, because we are so afraid of our children now, and we want to do what they call that old go to the corner, Fred, and get timed out and stand there for 2 or 3 minutes and then come back and tell me how you feel. No, we didn't have that back in the day, and it helped us a lot. And this is a problem, Chaz. This is a real problem.
I got 2 points. Number one, in this generation, that won't work, because I know for a fact the moment a parent uses a belt or switch, an extension cord, etc., the police will be called on that on that parent. So what the sister just mentioned, she's spot on, because I got a dose of something, and I'm not ashamed to say this. I got a dose of some of that lying across a bed, getting whipped for 5 minutes, crying, snot coming out, screaming. But these weren't things to make me evil. These were things to make me a better person and show how much respect was. And then on top of it, these kids, like I said, if you pull this now, all these kids are going to do is put you on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, and the police would be at your house so quick you wouldn't be able to wrap your head around it. So in this generation, it's not going to work whooping kids like that.
I don't know if this is true or not, but one of my friends said that he whooped his son, and his son snuck in the back room and called the police. When the police came, the police asked the father, "Did you whip the child?" And the father said, "I sure did." And the police said, "Well, you know you can't do that." And the father said, "Well, here, let me get his clothes, and you take him, and you take him and let him live with you." And the police said, no, we can't do that. And he says, "Well, then get out of my face and let me raise my child," because that's what it's all about. That brings us to this next point here. The absenteeism. This is going to hurt, Chaz. This is going to hurt.
Okay.
The absenteeism of many fathers contribute to the disrespect of seniors. You see, there's no father in the house. Not that the mothers aren't trying, not that the mothers aren't teaching, but because the father is not in the house, the child runs rampant because they feel that I can do whatever I want to do. Because normally a man gonna check that, you see. A real man is gonna check that. But because the father is not away, the child figures, I'm gonna do what I want to do because I'm scared of my mother. She doesn't hurt me when she disciplines me. But they don't have that fear, because most men that raise families, these men, they know how to put it down. We know how to put it down. And some women are so timid. Well, that's my baby, and I'm not saying all women are like that. But this is a problem. The absenteeism of many fathers contribute to that. Do you agree with that?
I agree. I had this discussion about a week ago that I felt like in this society, it should be a balance. If the father is still alive, it should be a balance of a mother and a father raising a child. I'm not here to fight feminism. I'm not here to fight all these ideas. I just think personally, like you just mentioned, brother, when a kid sees a 6 foot, 245-pound man, that kid knows in his heart, this is a big man. I'm not going to test him because I feel like he's strong. But when a kid sees a 5'8", 120-pound woman, he feels in his mind that she's weak. So he's going or she's going to keep extending, being disrespectful to that parent.
Here's what a queen says here. She says, that timeout stuff is crap. Ooh. You need to whoop that butt. Let's go back to them old days. And, you can call it abuse all you want to. It's not abuse. It's discipline.
Right.
We're talking about making sure that we do it because when these police officers get through with us, they're going to kill us. Yeah. So you do it now or you let someone else kill them. Another brother says, creating children out of the sun, Ralut. And he's going on and he's saying some other things. Creating children out of the sun. So, again, we have to make sure that we know that it's time out for us to stop disrespecting the elder, because that's a problem. Go ahead.
One thing I will mention about this broadcast that I'm very, very enthusiastic about is that you can tell by the comments. A lot of these are old school vets. And when I say vets, they've put in work by, whooping some tail on here. So I would love to say I appreciate that you guys are still around, because when you look around in this society, these parents and grandparents and stuff, they don't put it down like you old school folks that are on here commenting. So I appreciate that.
And here's another one, Chaz. No discipline as a child for disrespecting the elders. If you can talk to your mama like a dog, and you can talk to your daddy like a dog, or you can talk to your auntie like she's nothing, if you can talk to your uncle like he's a piece of dirt, and they allow it, when you get older, you're going to do this to other people because you haven't been disciplined and you haven't been dealt with. And this is another issue that a lot of us don't want to face, but a lot of us, we didn't get disciplined as a child, and now we're trying to tell people what to do. Well, it's too late now, because now these young adults, if in case in point, is how some of these young adults talk to their parents.
Yeah,
I hear some young adults talk to their parents like their parents are nothing. And this is something that a lot of us hide behind our cell phones, but we need to come out with it and say, we've got to stop this nonsense, Chaz, don't we?
We do. And I want to say, and I'm not going to keep going back off what things you used to do back in the day, but I have to put it in this perspective. Back in the day, when you were at school, this happened to me a couple times. I got a phone call. I mean, my principal got a phone call saying I wasn't doing homework. I wasn't doing certain things at home. So I'm thinking everything is good. This guy, rest his soul, he told my butt up. And listen, this was fine. To get a whooping at school, there was no law. There was no punishment. Mm-hmm. This man wore my butt out. By the time I got home, I'm sore. I might have got another minor whooping. And then on top of that, the neighbors knew too. So there were times in childhood, listen to this, big brother.
Okay.
3 whoopings.
What?
3 whoopings. From school to home, and the neighbor would get in on it. Big brother, we need this discipline back again.
We do. And people think we're gloating. People think we're gloating over this, but they don't realize this thing is out of control. This thing is really, really running rampant. And we got to be the ones to say, we need to discipline our children with love, of course. We're not talking about getting a skillet and cracking their skull and all that dumb stuff. We're talking about how our youth, some of them, and young adults disrespect our elders. Let me give you a quick commercial break. Okay. This Saturday at 1:00, tune in to the Ja and Kev show. We're going to be dealing with life issues. And then next month, on the first Saturday at 1:00, we're going to be at 639 South W.W. White Road at a place called Global Fitness, where Ja and my name is Ja, I'm tripping, where Kev and I will be there talking about the importance of fitness. And then on next week, Chaz is going to be off. And the reason Chaz is going to be off of this broadcast next Wednesday, because we have 2 queens that's going to be on this broadcast. And they told me to tell you all before they come. I told them that knowledge was free. They told me knowledge is not free. And I said, well, why is it not free? They said, you have to pay attention. You see, you have to pay. So they want to come and talk about some things that's important in life. Queen Mudiwa and Queen Ra. And they want to talk about some things that are very important when it comes to the prerequisite for blissful living. And they're going to set this doggone adults only on fire. They're ready. I had to hold them back to next week, but they're going to be on here, and they got a lot of information that they want to share. So now let's go back to the broadcast. As I've given the commercial, I'll give it out a little bit later on. And this is what we're talking about at the bottom of our screen. And it says, some of our youth and young adults, they disrespect our elders. Chaz, you brought this up. The media has added to the lack of respect, I should have said disrespect, for our elders. Never buy into that warped mentality. Right. And why not, Chaz? Why should we not listen to the media when it comes to raising our kids?
Not only for raising our kids, but brother, we shouldn't listen to the media for a lot of things. But let me get back to your point. We shouldn't listen to them when they disrespect our elders, because we have a brain. We know right from wrong. Common sense knows disrespecting an old person because of their health, their age, or because of what kind of car they drive, we know that's not right. And on top of it, learn how to be a leader or an example. Say, you know what? I hear 3 people behind me or 4 of my friends are teasing this lady. I'm going to not disrespect this old lady. In fact, I'm going to step aside and bring these 4 people with me and say, in behind closed doors, that was wrong what y'all did. Yes. That was totally uncalled for. So leading by example, basically.
Now I want to talk about this comment, because Brother Ray, I love this brother. You know, he's so intelligent.
Faithful.
Yeah, but I want to talk about his comment, because I want him to know that what we're saying is not this. He says, whooping all the time can become ineffective. Stop even hurting them. Now he's laughing, and I think he's being sarcastic. We're not saying that everything they do, right, go get you a belt, go get you a broom, go get you a stick, go get you a switch. We're not saying that.
Right.
But if you are an adult and you tell your child to do something and they tell you to shut up, or they do something that is wanted some kind of discipline, we must administer this discipline, man. Yeah. I don't know where we've gotten to as a society, and the brother's not saying this, so I'm not going to go off on a tangent like I normally do. But we have to do something, man. We cannot allow these youth to run over us. This is why our society is the way it is. And we're not talking about hurting them and I know that's what some of these other people say. Oh, you're hurting them. If we don't discipline them, we're not going to kill them. The police and other people will kill them. Yeah. So you should take it when they're growing up now, as opposed to waiting until they get older and then it happens. He says nowadays people don't respect themselves around, and then he says, and they don't respect their children. And all this is true. All this is true, Chaz.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was going to say too, real quick. The brother Ray was spot on. I mean, he brought up a good point that had me thinking. Like you said, we shouldn't whip our kids for any little thing, but when we whip them at home, it's a trickle-down effect because our kids go to school, they normally behave. When they're out in after-school activities, they behave. When you take them out to the movies, they behave. Compared to when you don't whip them, they normally have way more issues at school. They have way more after-school issues. It's a trickle-down effect. So if you start them right when they're young and you discipline them at home, it eliminates a lot of issues.
And everybody don't realize when we say whoop, they take that word whoop and they put their own connotation on it. They put their own definition on it. We're not talking about picking a child up and body slamming a child. You see, this is why I need to let people know we're not talking about that. Right. And I think they know what we're talking about, because the child has a place that they have a place that has a cushion. And this is what we're talking about. And we're not talking about beating them till the cows come home. This is a warped mentality that thinks this way. But Chaz, what about this? Some of us paid dearly for disrespecting our elders back in the day. And so we learned that lesson fast, good, proper. It's called home training. And we turned out okay.
Right.
You know, when I see an older lady today, even though I'm old as dirt myself, when I see her, I'm going to say, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. That's because that's respect, man. Right. You want to jump in on that one?
Yes. And I would like to even chime in. This was something I always thought that was funny. After the whipping by the male or female, whoever whipped us, they would normally tell us this at the end of the butt whooping. I only did this because I love you. Now, listen to that. Now, at the time, us kids were frustrated because we're sore, we're aching, we're in pain, but they did love us. So a lot of people confuse what we're saying here about
whipping and beating.
Like we're just psychotically
abuse. Yeah. And this shows you the mindset of many of us. A queen says this: I whipped my kids and it didn't kill them, but I can say the results are amazing. This is what we're talking about. And then the brother says this: I'm for whooping them, but also use other means of punishment of undesirable behavior. That's fine. See, we're all on the same page now. We're all on the same page. So please make sure, take us in context when we give out our information. Just because we use the word whip, don't you put we're abuse. Don't put the word abuse, because we never said that. Because there is a lot of abuse going on. That's a whole nother broadcast. And we definitely want to look at that, because that's terrible. And somebody said she sure did. So
Big brother,
go ahead.
Do you remember back in the day, and this just came to my head, I know I'm kind of going off to the left a little bit, but instead of whooping, like Big Brother said, Ray, the alternative punishment used to be you get you an ink pen or a pencil and you get you a paper and you write 350 times, I will respect my mother. And the kid's hand will be sore. There's always alternative measures, but we're just basically saying you have to discipline the child when they're young, because if you don't, it's going to get way out of control.
And I'm going to say this now, and I know some people may not like it, but I don't care. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. I don't care who likes it. I don't care who doesn't like it. I don't care what you think about what this broadcast is saying tonight. I don't care if you never watch this broadcast again. We have too much disrespect going on in our communities today. And all we're saying is there has to be something done. And this is what we're doing, telling you what's going to curtail it. And even if they don't stop disrespecting them, at least you're doing what you have to do as a parent, because pretty soon that child is going to run over someone else or try and get killed or get hurt because we didn't discipline them. We rather read them a book or sit them in a corner and reward them.
Wow.
There's a terrible mindset among many of our youth and young adults that our seniors are worth nothing. And as a result, they treat them as such. They don't visit them in the nursing home. They don't go to the rehabilitation center. They don't think of our adults, our older adults. They treat them like they're you know what. And this is a mindset. Yeah, it's a mindset. The comedians, many of the African American and African comedians and African Latinos and all these other names we want to use, many of them are part of the problem because they get on stage, and I've said this before, and they make fun of our elders. And we sit there and we hold our stomach laughing and we slap our knees laughing. And to me, that is a part of you're being a part of the problem. Instead of looking at them and saying, no, that's not funny. Or if you're going to watch him, that's not funny. I wouldn't that. And people say, well, lighten up. What do you mean lighten up? Our seniors and our older adults right now, our elders, they're struggling, man. And we don't need these clowns up there on stage. We paying them to belittle my grandmother and to talk about my uncle because he has a cane, to talk about my great grandmother because she's bent over. And I'm sitting out there laughing. We are a sick society, many of us, Chaz. And I know you want to say something about that.
Yeah, just real quick, there's all kind of comedy you can listen to. It's just don't subject yourself to that, because at the end of the day, when I get old, I'm going to eventually get old if I live to see it, and I wouldn't want to be treated that way. So it's just, let's just stop listening to this kind of comedy that, you know, degrades our elders.
This brother says Facebook is not letting him discuss the topic. They made him take down his last statement that I read. Okay, well, go ahead and comply, big brother. We know that we're doing all this in love, so comply, because we want you to always be able to come back and join in with us. So yeah, comply to them. And if Facebook is watching this, and I know they are, they should take it in context how this show is going. We're talking about discipline. Right. So if we're using other words, then in your heart, whoever is looking at this, you know what we're saying. And this is probably why their kids are the way they are.
Let me ask you, Big Ray, I couldn't quite hear you. What happened with Ray's last comment?
He said that Facebook made him take it. They made him take it down. So apparently he said something about the word whipping, and they made him take it down. And we're talking about discipline. So if you want us to use the word discipline, Facebook, we'll use discipline, because that's what it's all about. We're talking about disciplining right now. We're not talking about abusing anybody. We're not talking about beating anybody. We're not talking about maiming anybody. We're talking about disciplining our young, those who disrespect the elders. And that's a shame for them to make him take that down, because he's chiming in with us.
Right, Big. And if I could tune in real quick to Big Brother, this is a shame. I mean, Facebook, they also are part of the problem. And it's a shame where we call ourselves living in a society, free society, but we're not. It's so much crap on Facebook that what we're talking about, I mean, come on.
It's positive. It's very positive.
And the fact you got LGBTQ, you got all kind of stuff on this app. And you mean to tell me you're going to zero in on this? I mean, dude, grow up, Facebook. Grow up.
There is a lack of empathy among our young people for our seniors. They can't take this one down, for there is a lack of empathy among our young people for our seniors. And this is catastrophic, because many of our young people and young adults, again, we don't have empathy. See, when people get old and they become senile, or they become a certain way, we should have some kind of empathy for them to say, you know, I kind of get where they're coming from. That person is losing their mind. That person may be saying something. But we don't have any empathy for them. And this shows that our communities and our society has spiraled out of control. Right. And this is why our seniors are being disrespected. And this is why people don't want to watch you on this broadcast, Chaz. They don't want to watch me, because they don't want to look at their faces in the mirror and see that we have to come to grips with, we're losing our society because we don't want to talk about the serious issues. But let me be on here cussing. Let me be on here half naked. Let me be on here trying to find a woman. Let me be on here smoking dope. Let me be on here drinking. Let me be on here watching some kind of game. And let me be on here watching some stupid stuff on TV. And everybody will watch this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's sad, but bro, this is the society we're in. But back to your question about lacking empathy for our seniors. I do believe that a lot of people's hearts are turning cold. Because when you talk about a sensitive topic like this, about an elder person that can't really defend themselves, they can barely drive, heck, they even need help going to their appointments. And you look at these people who get in a van that need to be taken to an appointment, and you say to your mind, that old man is trash.
Yeah.
That's terrible, man.
Well, we got another special bulletin here. This person here says Facebook hates him, but then this queen says this: Somebody's right on. But then here's another statement. A queen says Facebook did the same to me. So we want y'all to use the word discipline. Just use the word discipline for tonight, but we know what we're talking about. Just use the word discipline, because I think that's what we're talking about. And see, they're so sensitive. They know what we're talking about. But again, those who are writing, use the word discipline, and then that way, basically, we can continue on with this.
I'm kind of getting more fired up, big brother, because we haven't really got this much heat like it's from Facebook. So I mean, why are they so? Why
and
are they concerned?
Look what they did to Brother Ray. He says, "I'm not going to say nothing else, but I shared the show." He can't even. They silenced him. They silenced him.
Wow.
This is okay. I tell you what, Chaz. Let's do this then. What can we do to fix much of this disrespect? Now we're going to talk about some things we can do. Now these are the things that we can do, since you guys want to play games. But this is what we can do. First of all, we can start considering our elders in our thoughts. Exactly. Think about them in our thoughts. Think about having to get old one day. Think about not having all your faculties all the time, when you get up in age. That means we should consider them, you see. So those who are commenting, you should be able to comment now, because now we're talking about what can we do to fix this problem. So we're saying we can consider our elders in our thoughts, and we should, man. We don't think enough about them. We always say we do, but we really don't, because we're too busy feeding our faces or doing what we like to do.
Right. I would say it starts off with when you see somebody out in public, man or woman, that's an elder. And if you see somebody teasing them that you're with, pull them to the side and say, you know what, that wasn't cool, Fred. That wasn't cool, Sally. That was totally out of line. And you don't have to do it to make a scene. Just pull them to the side politely and say, that's not right. And then on top of it, don't laugh and don't clap, because you start to edge them on to keep going even more. So just don't do it.
And this is exactly what you just said, which was our next point. Look out for our seniors in every aspect of life, not just how we talk to them, but let's look out for our seniors in every aspect of life, because there's so much going on. And I think what we're going to do, Chaz, is not next week, but that following week when we come back, we're going to continue this discussion, and we'll come at it from a different perspective, but we still would talk about discipline and what we need to do, because there's different ways. I didn't get a chance to break it down, but there are very many ways that we disrespect our elders.
Right.
It's not just talking back to them. It's a lot of aspects, and I want to bring those aspects out so we can really dive deep into how messed up we have gotten as a society. But we should look out for our seniors in every aspect, in every regard. We have a couple of more comments too. This queen says the educational system should teach them. It won't be hurting anything. Go ahead, brother.
Big on that comment. The educational system, and this isn't a knock at the system, this is just what it is. The educational system, they're a part of the problem. You can't ask the problem to fix the problem, because that's not what they believe in. So it starts from home. Our kids in school nowadays, and we've said this before, if our kids are in school, it's time to pull them out, because the educational system is garbage. And it's just that.
That's true. And that's why we need to keep talking about this, because like I said, we have to get deep into this, because we're just touching the surface, and we're talking about how some of our youth and young adults disrespect our elders. And some of us, as old as we are, we allow our grandkids to disrespect us. We allow our children to disrespect us. And I don't just mean talking back to us. The way they treat us, that's a form of disrespect. And that's what we're going to get in the week after next, because next week I have Queen Ra and Queen Mudiwa, and they gonna blow this doggone adults only. Chaz, you and I thought that you and I were doing something, but they tell me they got some information that's gonna set this adults only on fire. And so we're gonna let those sisters come, and we're gonna let them pour out their hearts, because they got a lot. We're all in a study group, and we've been studying so much about the ancient Egyptians, the ancient Kemites, and they've learned some concepts, and they want to come on this broadcast, and they want to share what they have learned, and they also want to challenge us and also encourage us, because I think it's very important that we do that. And here's something else we want to do, Chaz. We need to do this. Quit seeing our elders as a waste. We gotta quit doing that. Quit seeing our elders as a waste. They're
Yes.
not a waste.
Yes.
This is my pet peeve too, because when we talk about slavery, we always say the slaves. And I have a problem with that because they were not slaves. They were enslaved.
Right.
They were human beings.
Right.
But our minds are so messed up, we can't even relate to our ancestors as human beings. We call them what other people call them. And every time we say, yeah, see, the slaves, it shows that we have stooped to an all-time low with even our language and our ideology. They were human beings. They were not slaves. They were treated as such, but they were humans, and we can't see past that. But let's quit seeing our elders as a waste.
Right.
Yes, an elder is a beautiful person. An elder is in their golden years.
Right.
An elder should be respected.
Right.
But we don't want to talk about respect nowadays because we're too busy pushing them around, disrespecting them with our eyes, disrespecting them by not calling them. See, these are the things that you and I are going to talk about in 2 weeks. Because a lot of us only think that disrespect is a form of cursing them out, which some of us do.
Right.
But we're going to talk about all the ways that we disrespect them. And many people will see that we're not playing when we talk about this because it's serious. Someone says the disrespect the black people have for each other. The children are influenced by that. Perfect. That's one of the greatest points that this brother has ever put on this broadcast.
Right.
That's a fantastic point. We disrespect our elders because we do each other that way.
Right.
And so because they're like that, that's what we do. And then the elders are they are a well of wisdom if they are not foolish. Now that's another broadcast too, because we got a lot of foolish older people, but we're not talking about the foolish ones. We're talking about what's running across the bottom of the screen. Some of our youth and young adults disrespect the elders. Go ahead, Chaz.
And this is just something that's basic. I think we should all know this. For the people who do disrespect the elders, don't you think if they had control, don't you think that they wouldn't have dementia? Don't you think that they would be able to talk fluently? Don't you think that they would be able to stand up straight without a cane? I mean, I'm pretty sure if they can control their life, they didn't do that because they wanted to. So I mean, why are we doing them like that?
That is a great rhetorical question. And I think that we're doing it because a lot of us are sick. And again, I'm not here to win brownie points. I'm not here for you to like me. I'm here to teach. And, I'm telling you now, we got to start telling people, I don't care, Chaz. I don't care who doesn't watch this broadcast. I don't care who doesn't like what we're saying. This is a subject that grown people talk about. This is why this broadcast is called Adults Only. Yeah. And this is why we should be having these discussions. Because it's true.
And that's the point. When we do these broadcasts, we're not trying to gain 1 million souls. We're not trying to get 68 million followers.
They don't want to hear it.
We're doing this because even if it's 1 or 2 people, even if it's just one person, we've done our job because that person has gathered that information, they're instilling it in their heart, and they're applying it and putting it to practice. So that's what this is about. It's not about trying to get followers and likes and clicks.
Because I'm telling you now, this broadcast will not get more than 10 to 15 followers. I'm telling you now, no matter what we do, we will not get that amount because people don't want to hear this. Many people don't. Not everybody. Well, a lot of people want to hear it, Chaz. Go ahead.
There's a term too called shadow ban, to where you could have fire content, but like you said, because I'm sure Facebook is watching, they hide you in the algorithm. They put foolishness in front of yours, so it's harder to find yours. And then plus, if your content is really, really great and they see it's kind of going against what they believe, they're not going to really promote it. So you could be shadow banned. Well, we could be shadow banned as well.
Here's something we should start doing. Start teaching the importance and significance of our seniors. We can start it. When we hear someone say something about an adult that's an older adult, and we can correct them by saying, hey, well, first of all, what you said is not true. And that's not funny. I'm not going to sit here and let you disrespect these elders because you had a grandmama, you had a grandfather, a great grandmother, grandfather. See, this is how we have to start teaching. And parents ought to be teaching their children at this early age the importance of seniors. My class and I, we're going to go to a nursing home or rehabilitation center. And my students are frightened. They are frightened because they've never been to one. But they're going to see that we already know what it's going to smell like. We already know what it's going to look like. But we're going to show love, man. We're going to show love. And when will we start teaching on the importance and the significance of our seniors? That's what I want to know. When are we going to start it?
Like you said, it starts with what you're doing, big brother. You're teaching your students at a young age, so that way when they grow older, they can, create some of the same steps as you are, seeing the elders. Because I told you, when you strike up a basic conversation, Miss Green, how you doing? Mr. Brown, how are you doing? They light up like a Christmas tree, and then you got to kind of not literally run, but you got to kind of go away from them because they want to talk to you all day. They're not used to this kind of affection.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Chaz. This brother says, I just shared this to at least 15 Black only groups just now. We appreciate that, brother. In fact, I'm going to call that brother and I'm going to get his email and I'm going to have him on this broadcast because he has a lot to say and I'm going to wind him up and I'm going to let him go. And I want Ray to just talk until tomorrow. We're going to give him an opportunity because the brother always have very good things to say. So we're going to see him within the next month or so. You're going to look on the screen and you're not going to see Chaz. You're going to see Brother Ray. And I'm going to tell him this is the brother that's committed to this broadcast since we started. And I want him to go berserk.
That's what I would say about Brother Ray. He is always watching. He is always commenting. So, Brother Ray, I've never met you, but I always want to say I appreciate you for viewing the content. I really do.
And another big brother of mine, Brother Kevin, says taking the kids to the nursing home it's a beautiful thing. We have to learn why, because there's so much disrespect. And so when we start teaching at a young age, our children will grow up and they'll say, that's a part of my duty. That's a part of my duty, they're going to say. That's a part of my duty to go out and take care of those who are older and not to tease them and not to talk down to them and not to disrespect them. And like I said, next week, we're going to have two sisters come out here and they're going to take over this show. This Saturday, please go to our Facebook or go to our YouTube station. It's called the Ja and Kev Show. You see me hoisting this up every week, the Ja and Kev Show. And subscribe to our broadcast. We're going to come on this Saturday at 1. And then next month, the first Saturday of October, which is the 7th, at 1 o'clock, we're going to be at 639 South W.W. White Road. We're going to be at a place called Global Fitness. Come on down. We want you to look out. We're going to be interviewing people about older people and younger people. Why do you work out? They're going to tell you that this is the best thing that you can do. So please tune in to this broadcast next week and this Saturday for the John Kev Show, and then next month for the John Kev Show, because again, next week, the topic is going to be, what is the prerequisite for blissful living? And I have two queens that I'm going to turn loose. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to let them go to work.
I'm getting nervous, big brother, about these two sisters.
Yeah, I'm not, you know what? I'm going to ask one or two questions and I'm getting out the way. Because the sisters and Mudiwa, they are ready. Now, we have other people in the group.
Okay.
They work. In fact, BB works. And then the other young lady, she's got things going on. But them two said, take the leashes off of me and let me go. So the only thing I told them is don't use too much vulgar language because I don't want to get put off. I don't want them to take us off the air. But they really are going to talk about that. Brothers and sisters, again, this is the last point that Brother Chaz and I want to make. And this is something that we need to look at when it comes to the disrespect of our elderly. Put an immediate stop to our children and grandchildren disrespecting our elders. Exactly. We got to do it, Chaz. We can't ask anyone else to do it. They're going to continue to promote this.
Right.
So we have to ask our people to stop, put an immediate stop to our children and our grandchildren disrespecting our elders. Why?
Exactly. Because they're humans. They were young people just like us. They grew older. Things happened. Their health got bad, etc. So the point is, if we have children, we need to teach them as long as they can talk. That is not good to disrespect that old man or woman. If you do this, I'm going to discipline you. And then on top of that, young man, you're going to get old one day. You don't want anybody treating you that way. So if you do witness this in public, pull that person to the side and tell them, this is just not right, because it's totally not.
Yeah, it is. It is. And the comments are just coming all over. And this is beautiful.
Wow.
He says if the
Wow.
parents respect the elders, most children will too. Yeah, because this is what I'm saying. Some of the older people disrespect their mothers and fathers. So this is not just the youth and the young adult.
Right.
This is an epidemic that has swept across the world, especially in the African American community. And so we're saying we must do something. We can no longer sit around and talk about it.
Right.
We must do our part. And we talked about all throughout the broadcast how it's going on. And not next week, but that following Wednesday, when Chaz and I come back, you're going to see the ways, and you're going to be surprised at the different ways, because most of us think that cursing an older person out, that's the ultimate form of disrespect. I got news for you. News for you. It's all kinds of ways, Chaz.
Big brother,
you now, we're going to talk about that. Go for it.
And I want to say real quick, the utter disrespect is if an elder asks you, and I'm talking about someone who's, you know them and they're a relative or what have you, and they say, Shane, can you go pick up my medicine at CVS? You know this old person can't drive. Heck, this old person can barely talk. And you tell that old lady or that old man, I'm not getting your prescription. I got other things to do. So you're basically telling that old man or woman, you want them to die. You rather them die because that
Come on, Chaz.
That prescription could be life or death. They haven't had it in a week. The doctors are called and tell them to get it refilled. And you tell that elder, I'm not picking up that CVS prescription. This is nonsense.
If you think that's nonsense, will you look at what's on this screen now? A queen says, I heard a gentleman tell his mom that he would drop her bottom lip. No. Isn't that something? I mean, just look at the comments. Black people are so, and when he says black people, we know he doesn't mean all. So don't no one come behind him and say not all of us. Some of us are so disrespectful to each other. It's arresting our development as a populace. And he's telling the truth because we don't like to talk about how we disrespect one another. But when other people disrespect us, oh my goodness, we want to picket, we want to march, we want to boycott. But when we disrespect each other, we turn the other cheek. We turn the other way. And this is why this broadcast is important, because a lot of us can't take this, Chaz. They can't take this truth. It's like medicine that we all need, you and I included. We all need to take this medicine, but a lot of us don't want to take it because we know that we're not interested in doing the right thing for our communities and for our societies. Exactly. And that's why I'm saying to all of you now, we need you to be a part of something that is positive, something that is very, very positive, something that's going to help your mental, something that's going to open up and elongate the psyche, something that is going to expand the mind. And this is why I keep talking about all the shows we got going on, everything we're going to do. Chaz and I'll be back the week after next with the rest of this. This is just the beginning. This right here is the appetizer. We're going to blast this thing the next time. Because we're going to show you some aspects of disrespect that you might have said, I didn't know that was disrespect. Yeah, the way you roll I'm just going to give you a little bit now. The way we roll our eyes at our elders, the way we throw our eyes up in the cloud, even though we don't say anything, that's disrespect. So we're going to talk about other ways that we disrespect them and how not to do it. So before I let Chaz go, I'm going to give him the final word to say, that I'm going to come back with the comments because I'm very excited about Adults Only. This is Chaz. This is our field reporter. This is our correspondent. And he's going to tell us last words, and then he's going to go off the scene, and I'll finish it up, and we'll be done. What do you want to say to the people, Chaz?
I want to say I appreciate everybody that's tuned in. I really do. You old school disciplinarians, you guys kind of give me hope because there's still people like you around who will still discipline if you have to. And then on top of it, I would also like to say, big brother, I appreciate these dialogues. I really, really do. And if you can hear my voice now, I've exhausted so much energy, I may just sleep for the next week. I mean, I'm very exhausted. So I gave it all I had. But I really appreciate these talks, and I really, really do, big brother.
All right. We appreciate it. We'll see you the week after next, Chaz. I know you're going to be tuning in, but we'll see you the week after.
Oh, yeah. I'll be commenting on the broadcast as well.
Okay, good enough.
Take care.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Brother Chaz is gone. And I'm bringing it home. I only have a few minutes to go. Tonight, we've been talking about some of our youth and young adults disrespecting our elders. Please watch this broadcast every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. for hard-hitting issues that affect the African American community, the African community, the African Latino community, the African Cuban community. These are subjects that we must talk about. We're not asking you for anything but your time. And if you want to really be knowledgeable, we want you to tune in to this broadcast every week. If you just tune in, go back and rewatch it, because we've been talking about how some of us youth and our young adults, how we disrespect our elders. Not all of them. To those who have been doing a great job as young adults and adults with our elders, we applaud you. We say keep doing that. But a lot of us are not. A lot of us are talking to our elders like they're dogs, like they're dirt, like they're nothing. And we got to stop that. All you men out there, what kind of man are you? What kind of man am I to let this continue to go? What kind of woman are you to let this continue to happen like this? So I say to you, let's continue to have these dialogues and this beautiful discussion about aspects of the African American psyche that we need to touch upon. This Saturday at 1 o'clock, go to our YouTube page, The Ja and Kev Show, and subscribe to our YouTube page. We're going to be talking about a subject that we all need to discuss. And then next month, October the 7th, at 1 o'clock, which is a Saturday, we're going to be live at Global Fitness. Sister Gloria is going to be demonstrating the importance of fitness. And Kev and myself are going to be interviewing people who have been sick, but yet they're working out to maintain what they have. And then on next week, please tune in to Adults Only next Wednesday. The subject is, what is the prerequisite for blissful living? My guests will be Queen Mudiwa and Queen Ra. And they're going to talk about how can we live a blissful life. And they're going to be telling us practical truths. Some of you may not want to hear what they have to say, but a lot of it's going to help us become better people. So my name is your big brother Jaheem. Support us and continue to watch this broadcast as we continue to dive into that which is crucial to our communities and to our societies. Shem Imhotep, which means we want you to go in peace. Ujah Samel, which means we wish for you life, we wish for you prosperity, we wish for you good health. On behalf of Chaz, I am your big brother, and I will be teaching again the importance of how we as a people should get serious. You watch sports, that's fine. You watch entertainment, that's fine. You watch the news, that's fine. You should watch Adults Only. You should tune into the John Kev Show, because we're going to be talking constantly about ways to help the family, because our families are struggling, many of us. So having said that, listen to the music as I get out of here. I love you all, and I can't wait to be in your presence again. Ankh Ujah Sanel.